Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining another episode of Mission by Design podcast. My name is Bayo. I'm your co-host today. I also have Haley Patel, who's my co-host and our co-host for this show. And we have Paige Rosemond. Paige is from RedMane, and she is the Director of Innovation. Paige, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you.
Welcome,
it's
Paige.
Such a great opportunity to be here. Thanks, Haley. Good to see you again.
We can't wait to have you on the podcast today. And for our audience, RedMane is a software company focused on providing everything from child welfare to Veterans Affairs solutions to health and human services departments worldwide. A few examples of some of the wins that they've brought are helping the U.S. Virgin Islands implement an integrated eligibility system, helping Puerto Rico rapidly implement a Medicaid system, and helping Missouri modernize and optimize its health and human services operations. Paige, I want to start with you. So you have an incredible background. You were a director of a child welfare agency prior to coming to RedMane. Can you talk a little bit about how your experience in that space has influenced RedMane's industry-leading solutions?
Absolutely. So I did. I spent over 25 years in health and human services. Most recently, I was the director of child welfare with Wake County Human Services here in Raleigh, North Carolina. I also was the associate director in Colorado, so overseeing their 64 county departments of child welfare. So in those roles, I was able to really see how technology could support how business was done and really be a game changer. For so many years, 20 years of my career, I was in a situation where I had to expect more out of my staff without any additional supports, more documentation, more face-to-face contacts. And that dynamic always caused me to struggle. I had to expect more with, at times, less. And I wanted something more to be able to provide a workforce. And that's really what brought me to RedMane. I really see technology as a third pillar. So we have our clients that we're there to serve. We have the staff that are charged with doing it. And technology can really be the avenue, the additional support that can change how families experience a system, can increase longevity of staff in an industry that has so much turnover. And so I came to RedMane because they are so value-driven and person-centered. And their solutions are created by the industry that they're serving. And I say serving because, again, it's just such a different dynamic with RedMane. So that's what brought me to RedMane. I'm so encouraged by the solutions that they're developing and really being able to give tangible tools and supports to a workforce that has struggled for so many decades. In being able to deliver the right services at the right time when families are sometimes experiencing the greatest crisis of their lives.
It's such an incredible story. And I think you call out a number of the trends that are occurring in this space and how RedMane is helping to solve those. Do you have, I know you all do so much. Do you have a favorite story that you can share with us about some of the things that RedMane has helped solved?
Well, absolutely. And this is really about our partnership with Microsoft as well. So I started almost 3 years ago. And when we initiated conversations, we were like, let's utilize AI. How can we be at the forefront of utilizing AI to bring these greater efficiencies and improve both the experiences of the workers and the clients that they're serving? And so we started talking about what we could do and what we could do differently. And to see it happen over these last 2 years, and there have been monthly conversations with your team there at Microsoft, the technology changing so quickly that we also have to be able to pivot, so many ad hoc phone calls about how can we do this, and being able to take unstructured data and use it to enhance decision-making. So we often say we're the coach, not the player, because we are not here to replace humans. We are not here to be the decision maker. But how can we bring information more readily to the humans and provide recommendations? So the story. So we had been working with Florida, and one of the things that we like to do is bring POCs down there and just talk with our clientele about what we're doing. Here are some ideas. And as we were sitting with them in the room in Tallahassee, and we were talking about different issues and different solutions that we have been developing for other clients and other jurisdictions, their director stopped us and was like, I have an issue that I am desperate for some support with. And we're like, okay, tell us, we want to hear it. So Florida had recently implemented a web-based portal to accept reports of child and adult abuse. So their hotline is for both the child population as well as vulnerable adults. And he personally had entered in a new report of an adult that had been abused that he was concerned about. So he entered in this report on the web-based portal, and because of the number of reports that they were receiving, Human Eyes didn't get on to see that report for 48 hours. Mm-hmm. And in that time, this gentleman was infirmed on the floor waiting for somebody to respond. And he said, we cannot have this dynamic. And technology is great. We are so fortunate to be able to have this web-based portal, to be able to gain information more efficiently, especially from mandated reporters in the field, that they could just hop onto this website and be able to enter in the report. But because of the numbers and because of the concerns with how many reports were coming in, they weren't getting their eyes on the most critical reports at the right time. So he asked us, is there a way that technology can help us with this dilemma? We said, absolutely. Let's develop a tool that prioritizes these reports of abuse and neglect. So we utilized AI to review all of this unstructured narrative, as well as the structured data, to prioritize all of these incoming reports for the state of Florida. Mm-hmm. Now, we looked at 200,000 historical reports in this process to help inform the model. These were all of the reports that had come in to that point. And then we also utilized best practice, and policy to be able to inform our model. And we worked closely with them to better understand their policy, to be able to engineer the right prompts, the right model, to be able to effectively prioritize these new reports of abuse or neglect. And we were able to get our model up to about 85%. But we wanted it higher. And we were frustrated by that additional 15%. What can we do differently, or what are we missing? And we were noticing trends in where there was a discrepancy between the model and what the humans had decided. So we took a field trip down to Tallahassee and sat with their policy experts in the room and started to unpack this dynamic. And come to find out in this effort that the humans were the ones that were inconsistent in their decision making. And our model was actually getting it right. So, in addition to being able to prioritize all of these reports to effectively address all of the backlog, we also now have a quality assurance tool that our jurisdiction can use to improve the consistency of their decision making. So while that wasn't the intent in utilizing this technology, it was really to address the backlog and to ensure that the humans had their eyes on the right reports, the most critical reports at the right time. We also now have practice improvement. So we've been able to not only improve the efficiency and the effectiveness of the decision making, now the quality of the decision making has also been improved.
Such a great
Paige,
example.
it's a great story. Thank you for sharing. And I was actually going to segue and ask you what our Better Together story is, but you've kind of highlighted that in just articulating how you go to market, the solutions that you provide, and the importance of them. And I love the phrase you mentioned, your position is to be the coach and not the player. I think that's another reason why we partner so well together. That's our whole mentality and philosophy. How do we empower our partners to achieve more and provide the opportunity for their customers to be successful. So, considering, of course, your position as the director of innovation, I believe you have a great purview of what's happening both within RedMane and within the industry that you're in today. I'd love for you to kind of share, from your point of view, some of the momentum that you're seeing in this space or some of the opportunities that you've identified where your solutions, especially how you leverage AI, can be deployed today to provide immediate impact to the people that you're servicing.
Well, and it's a unique dynamic because we're utilizing AI both internally and externally with our clients to improve how we are delivering our solutions. So between GitHub, Copilot, there is a section of our innovation team that is specifically focused on internal efforts to improve efficiencies in how we are designing and developing our solutions. My focus is more on the external and how we are engaging with clients to assess their needs and be responsive to those specific needs. So in the current environment, it's becoming even more important as federal funding has changed for the health and human services area. We have new requirements.
Yep.
For these local and state jurisdictions that they have to fulfill without any additional funding. And because of these changes, we are really hyper-focused on how can we improve the solutions, the approach, the consistency, the accuracy, and the quality of services through the use of AI. So when I commented earlier about how we're the coach, not the player, we really see that as our role. How can we provide real-time support so that you are being able to find anomalies or potential errors in your Medicaid data entry? And then for those that are providing case management services, it's more about providing that real-time support when you're in front of a client or on the phone with a client. We are currently piloting real-time translation, transcription, and prompting of additional questions to improve, again, the quality of information that is being ascertained. Whether it be in an interview when you're in front of a client and you need that real-time translation because it's after hours and I don't have access to a translation service and I need to make a decision immediately about the safety of that child, or during an intake call and I may have forgotten something and I need to be prompted to ask this question because it's really important, but given my day and all of the competing priorities, I may have forgotten. So instead of having to go back out and have another home visit or to make another phone call, I'm now going to receive that real-time support. We also see this as empowering the worker to own their own performance. I'm now getting support in real time. It doesn't need to be retrospectively and with the next family that I work with, but in real time. I'm going to be able to improve how I engage that family because our prompts, the AI that we are incorporating into our case management system or into other aspects of the work, whether it be a legacy system as an overlay or however this information can best be delivered to the jurisdiction, it's going to help improve that engagement in real time. So how they are doing business is changed. The outcome for that family can be changed. And consistency in application and interpretation of changing laws. It's happening so quickly right now. And we really see this as a game-changing support for workers. And it's in response to those changes. Often adversity and changes that we may or may not have control over can become so defeating. But we really see this as an opportunity. People in the past that may not have been willing to utilize the AI now may have to. They may be a little bit more open-minded. And we're really hoping that as we can increase the confidence in using these type of tools through transparency, through providing explanations as to why that is being recommended or how it's interpreting policy or statute, that it will increase the confidence. And through adversity, through these challenges, not only will we be able to deliver solutions that increase efficiency, but that also really improve the effectiveness of the services that our state and local governments are providing.
So there are multiple programs that you support, but some of the key ones are Child and Family Services, Eligibility and Human Services, and Justice and Investigation. So for Microsoft resources and sellers and people who engage with customers or entities in this program, what do you want them to pay attention to or be cognizant of when they're having these conversations or they're having these engagements, for them to understand this is a great opportunity to bring in the RedMane team? What are the key things that they should be listening to or looking out for?
Well, I think the earlier that we can be brought in, the better. We really develop solutions with our clients. So if your sellers are hearing issues around quality, around struggles with workforce, that there's a large number of vacancies, or the worker to supervisor ratio has changed, and those supervisors are needing greater support, bring us in. We want to be part of the conversation. We think that we can develop solutions that effectively address their assessed needs. And even if they need help assessing those needs, I think that's also something that's very unique about RedMane. Like myself, I come from the business side. And that's not unique with just me. RedMane ensures that the various areas that they're specializing in, they have representation from the business side, so that the business side is helping to develop these solutions. I often serve as a translator between the technology, our technical folks, and the business side. And I see that as such a, yeah, y'all laugh. You know what I'm talking about. Oh, my Southern accent came out a little bit there. I apologize.
Yep.
we are out of Chicago. um, but I do think sometimes that translation is needed for the most applicable solutions to be developed, and that's what we do in partnership with our jurisdictions. It isn't just something off of the shelf or something that can be. It's so customized. It's customized to their policy, to their practice, to what they find most important. We want it to be reflective of their values and how they want to serve their population. So regardless of the affiliation, as far as if it's a nonprofit, a non-governmental organization, a governmental organization, we are, while hyper-focused in health and human services and working with government organizations, we want to tailor our solutions to who our client is and what they need from technology.
You do such a phenomenal job painting the picture for what a day in the life of a health and human services worker might look like, from long case logs to days that make it hard to think about, every question to be asked in a situation, or having to translate, both languages and requirements. I'd be really curious to hear, what has the feedback been like from the people that are on the ground working with some of the RedMane solutions?
That's a great question. The feedback is, I wish I had had this sooner. We are a different kind of company. We make sure that we are in the field and experiencing what our clients experience. We were recently developing a case management system for a juvenile justice department in a large state. And our BAs went to the facility to be able to better understand what were their needs. And I think that type of involvement and willingness to better understand our end users and the dynamics, not only by who RedMane employs, but then honoring the expertise of our clients, that they really know their system, those dynamics within their system better than anyone else. So we, again, want to partner with them. So what we hear back is thank yous and excitement and a willingness to be able to be more, lean in a little bit more to technology, because they really see it as a solution, as something that is bringing them a tangible relief in how they do their day-to-day work. Which is a huge compliment and definitely what we want to see. We want to be able to see the tools and solutions that we're developing in action and to bring some relief and some ability, as opposed to being burdened by administrative work, that our end users get to be out in the field more or get to be in front of their client or customer more, which is why they usually go into the business. And to be able to bring and shift that dynamic for them in their day-to-day is definitely what makes it worth it.
So beautifully said, Paige. Thank you. That is what Mission by Design is all about, featuring our partners who are creating incredible mission-focused solutions that make life better for our constituents. So thank you for sharing about RedMane and discussing the Microsoft RedMane partnership. It's been a pleasure having you on. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Paige.
You bet.